Hi everyone. Today we will make an interview with Karen Turner. So let's go. Hi Karen.
Hey, Luke.
So let's start from the beginning. How did you start making art?
I suppose, I've always been creative, always from a child, but I suppose I started thinking about art seriously in a sort of contemporary art practice. Most of my jobs have been creative, window dressing, visual merchandising, so I was always making art or making objects and making things, but seriously about sort of calling myself an artist would have been when I went to art school, when I went as a mature student in 2010. And studied fine art for 4 years. And during that time, that was when I sort of considered and thought about art more seriously than just making, creating, playing. More thinking, I suppose, thinking what art can do and things like that.
So who had the biggest influence on you in this time?
Oh gosh, during studying, I don't know. I had a few good tutors, some that just really stressed me out. The institution itself is, and the institution and academia isn't something. I sort of came out of education when I was 15, so going back into it at 40, I was quite. I don't know, I suppose I was a bit of a pain in the arse, to be honest. Do you get what I mean? I was questioning everything, and I sort of, especially in my first year, foundation.
But you enjoyed the process.
I enjoyed the process tremendously. Yeah, I had some really good tutors that really helped me understand things. Other artists, Louise Bourgeois, I was looking at, I was a member of, we started a group called Fans of Feminism, so we sort of looked a lot at female artists. Phila de Barlow is an absolute icon of mine. When I experience her installations, they just sort of blow my mind. Oh gosh, put me on the spot now. Artists, this always used to happen in art school, and I'd go, and if I look through my sketchbooks, there's so many references and researches to so many people, but unfortunately, I haven't had the chance to.
We mostly have these pictures in our minds.
Yeah, exactly. I can see their artworks. I can see the work. And feel the work, but no, their names sort of pass me by. I have a whole heap of Frieze magazines that I've never even looked at because I have no time at the moment. But being at art school,
you started thinking very seriously about art, or you never think about art?
I've never thought of art too seriously, to be honest. That was one of a piece of work that I made during university, during my degree, was called Maintaining Identity. And the statement for that, which is on my website, if you ever have a look at it, the statement is a conversation that I had between me. It was a text conversation that I had between myself and a friend who was studying with me and was very academic, took art very seriously. And she used to have a go at me for not taking art seriously. And it always became a bit of a sort of bone of contention between us, the difference between us as artists, and so I didn't deny myself being an artist because I didn't take it seriously. I think,
So are you interested in questions like what is art, or?
Oh, what is art? My dissertation was called "What Makes Art Work?"
Okay.
It was a hard question, and my tutor was just like, "Really?"
It's like more pragmatic.
Yeah, what makes art work? Yeah. So I was playing about what is art? It's everything. It's living. it's living. It's everywhere I look, even down to, I place things in positions, and I don't know whether this is, a mental health thing. I think sometimes my family think it is, the way things are positioned and the way things move, the way people relate to each other, all of that. I can look at it as I look at a painting in a gallery as art. Do you get what I mean? And people's, life is art, and that sounds really, I know it's probably a bit pretentious, but it's sort of, my life is, how I deal with life is through art.
Every decision is aesthetic in some way. Yeah, in
some way, and it's not everyone's aesthetic, and I'm very aware, and I learned that in art school. I used to really think, I used to sort of fight that aesthetic has, and there's a place for aesthetic in art, of course there is, and I know my aesthetic, and I'm also aware of what people will like. Do you get, what I mean? I can sort of make things that people will like in a general round aesthetic, but it sort of is subjective. Everyone's aesthetic is very different. I had someone come in yesterday that was looking at all the shelves in Cave, which I consider my art practice as well. And there's the shelves above the sink, which is my art. And then we was talking about Martin, who works a lot in the shop, and both of us have a visual merchandising background. And he displays the shelves within the shop space of Cave. And the difference in the two, although both of them have a tight aesthetic, they're so different. But I can see the beauty in the way I position things on a shelf and the way Martin positioned things on a shelf. And, that to me it's all art. It's all about, looking and it feeling right in its space.
Yeah, so what is Cave?
Cave came about when I graduated. The one thing, I came out of art school, I was 44, and I sort of knew that I wanted my own space. The one thing I learned at art school, they used to take us to loads of these really quite cool alternative spaces. I'd sort of spent my 20s and sort of late 20s, early 30s, still a little bit now when I get the opportunity, going to sort of underground house parties and stuff where artists would hang their work. So I love them sort of spaces, the not traditional white cube space. I understood that, and it's beautiful. You hang a piece of work in a beautiful white space, so all you're looking at is the work. Makes so much sense. But I sort of thought, I want my own space. I want my own quick space, and I wanted it to be in Pimlico because where I grew up. So I knew I had community support, but also I wanted Nigel, my husband, to be involved. And he wouldn't have come up to the East End or Battersea, or if I decided to do it in a different area. So I took over the space. I found Cave. It was a second-hand furniture yard. We had no money to change it, so we just sort of continued with that for a while, which Nigel loves. We love upcycling, so that's another part of my creative practice. Is I like upcycle. Yesterday, there's a picture frame over there that I decoupaged and things. So I like that creating. I like craft. Craft feeds into my practice a lot. So that sort of suited us, and over the 6 years, we now have an art space, a gallery space, a studio, and the shop.
Already many exhibitions,
I think since university, I've done personally as Karen Turner artist away from Cave. I've done a couple of exhibitions or collaborations a year. Some of them within Cave, but most of them invited away from Cave, which is what I like. I love showing my work in Cave. I'm very lucky to have a gallery space where I can go, I'm just going to have an exhibition, you know what I mean? And it's sort of, it doesn't happen that often because it's usually quite spontaneous if I decide to have an exhibition here. It's not overly planned out. But I do get invited. I'm very lucky enough to have some great artist friends who I love collaborations. I like working with other artists and sort of.
How these collaborations influence your art?
Through conversation mainly. The beautiful thing, about collaborations and doing group shows and working with other artists, although it can be hard work because obviously we all sort of have different thinking and different ways of thinking. that is through the conversation. My work comes, and that's the thing I love and probably miss about art school the most, is the conversations, the crits, you know, where you really sort of get nitty gritty about why the fuck am I doing this? You know, what is this about? And it's great to have your peers to help raise these questions for you within your. I think it, you know, it can push your work forward. It can push your work and move your work and help you think. You know, you're in that sort of situation, and you'll always get. You're in that situation and you'll always get someone that will come along and go, oh, you should look at this artist, you should look at that artist. And I love that, you know. I'm not one of these people that think, you know, not much artwork is unique. What makes it unique is the artist. You know, you could be painting using the same processes as Picasso, but it's still your work because it's yours, you know. And so I'm not precious about thinking that I'm the first person that's ever done this. Do you get what I mean? Because it doesn't happen. There's a few young emerging artists, I see their work and I get so excited and I just go, oh God, I wish that was my work. I wish I could do that. Do you get what I mean? But no, I'm not sort of, you know, I don't...
What's media? What mediums are you using?
Right, God.
Mainly drawing, probably.
No, and not really. I think my main practice and my favourite media, I suppose, is objects. It's ready-made things that already exist in the world, and it's how you display them, how you position them, which I suppose comes from my visual merchandising background. I love drawing. Drawing underpins everything. And I've done some really nice drawing projects which I've really enjoyed. I don't know what... At the moment I'm messing about with paint, and it is purely messing about with paint. Obviously we're in this weird time, so everything is, you know, the one beautiful thing about paint is it takes time. Do you know what I mean? You can lose hours, and I'm quite enjoying that. At the moment, I haven't created anything that I feel the need to put on a gallery wall. I'm quite enjoying it on my studio wall, and it's sort of just for me and invited guests at the moment. It's quite, you know, I'm you know, so when I was studying on my foundation at Camberwell, I remember my first sort of tutorial, and I remember saying to the tutor, I don't think I'm angry enough. I'm not, you know, I was surrounded by all these really young, beautiful, young 19 sort of 21-year-olds just out of school, and they were so angry and they were making work about their angst and all the rest of it. And I was just wanted to paint pretty pictures, you know. I thought art school was going to teach me how to use materials, but they don't. They teach you how to think. You just got to get on with it, with using. So I'm sort of going back to that a little bit, but the stuff that's coming out is slightly, I don't know, slightly darker, maybe slightly maturer than, you know, floating around, putting oil on canvases with your hands and thinking about hazy days of getting high in a field somewhere, you know. I'm maybe not thinking about that 10 years on, you know. This is 10 years later, I'm 50 this year. And obviously with everything that's going on in the world, it's, yeah, I suppose it's coming out in my mark making when I'm on my own.
So artwork is, you are creating, it's a process. Is it first imagination, your...
So what, like, where do I get my ideas from?
Yeah, that's the question.
They sort of come up, my ideas come up a lot, but it's not often I process them, and then when I do, they're usually quite simple. It's not too complicated. I've enjoyed the painting that I've been doing during the lockdown, during this time, has come solely from, I don't want to think about anything at the moment, so I've got these old canvases that have had paint on them that I don't like them paintings anymore. I'm just going to cover them up, and then it will create layers. I'm sort of playing with the abstract at the moment, and I have some amazing friends that make the most amazing abstract painting, but they paint 50 canvases a day. You know, I'm just sort of messing about with 2 or 3 and adding some layers and rubbing off a bit, adding a bit more. And I know, you know, I go to, you know, 2 that I think of, you know, Jenny and Neil, Neil was my tutor, my critical studies tutor, and we're close friends. We've become very good friends. We've done collaboration together. And Jenny, who's also I studied with, and she's just, I love her abstract paintings. And I've been to her studio. She's got marks on 100 pieces of paper and 100, to get where she is. And it's interesting because, abstraction is something that people go, oh, it's just jacking some paint around. And I've been trying, I've sort of eased off. I'm easing my anxiety of what's going on in the world and just getting anxious about abstract painting now, and just, oh my God, it's so difficult. So I pulled back to sort of some self-portraiture and life drawing, just because that's where my confidence, I've been life drawing for quite a long time. I started when I was at uni. I was lucky enough to spend a year doing life drawing with a fantastic tutor, Nigel Oxley. He's retired now, fantastic artist. And he, so life drawing is something that I can come back to with a sort of confidence. I know I can just sit and go, oh, that's not easy, because it's not, but because I've doing it a long time, I can enjoy the work and stuff. Whereas, I'm putting a bit of pressure on myself at the moment with paint.
So you're making here drawing sessions.
Yes. Yeah, we do life drawing.
So do you know how to teach someone how to draw?
If I sit,
can you make someone creative?
Right. I can encourage them to be creative. I consider myself an encourager rather than a teacher. Obviously, if I sat down, I've been drawing for long enough, drawing from life anyway. I'm rubbish at still life, weirdly. I don't know whether it doesn't appeal to me, but the idea of drawing doesn't even cross my mind. You get, and even out in nature, landscape and stuff, I don't mind. I prefer with paint. Life drawing something completely different, and I'm sure the looking is the same. I don't know if the looking's the same at everything, whether it's still life, landscape, or or life drawing the human body. But to me, drawing the human body doesn't scare me. The way I can look at a landscape and sort of, I don't even really know where to start. I look at still life and I don't really know. But with life drawing, I don't know. I suppose it's because I've done it for ages. But so as far as teaching, if someone said to me, will you teach me how to draw? And I sat with them and looked at a body, then of course I could teach them hints and tips of how to see things, how to measure things. I can do all that. But on the group that I run, I consider it encouragement. I do it with them. I'm not a teacher walking around going, oh, if you do that, or if you do this. I'm sat drawing. I take full advantage of the fact that I have a model in the room and the equipment. I change the music and time it. That's about it, you know what I mean? You've been I'm in charge of the music, the wine, the tea. And if anyone wants any help, then of course, they can do it. But usually what I do is encourage to just be brave and enjoy the process and don't overthink about what the final drawing's going to be. It took people a long time. Yeah, just take your time. Don't think you're going to go to your first ever life drawing class or group and smash out a Tishan. You know what I mean? It's not going to happen. The man, these beautiful figurative drawings, the people that drew them have been drawing for many years, so just treat it as a fun process. And if you go, oh my God, I love that, then you'll do it more. And the more you do it, the better you'll get. Do you get what I mean? And you'll find your own style. The group that I run, we've been running it now for nearly 3, it's definitely 3, if not 4 years. And obviously, because, local to Pimlico, I have local drawers that come every week. And all of us, you can have 5 of us in the room drawing exactly the same models. And even with the same materials, you could say, although, I put out lots of different materials. And all our drawings are different. They're so personal to you, your style of drawing, people's style. So I love doing that. But I don't, teaching, I could be a teacher if I wanted to, but to be honest, I'm more an encourager.
can you tell us something about your tattoo?
Yes. This is by an artist called SOLLY. She's Austrian, and I met her 3 years ago. She graduated. She was studying at City and Guilds, her degree. She's done a degree there, and I met a few artists from City and Guilds and a few students. We became close friends. She's exhibited here a couple of times, her and her other friend Claire. And she started doing tattooing within her practice. She has a lot of very symbolic tattoos. Her tattoo, they're beautiful. She practices ayahuasca, and her degree work was amazing. She created a sort of Austrian warrior. What's her name? Gosh, I've totally forgotten the name of the warrior. And she cast, because City and Guilds Art School, if you're going to go to an art school, that's what you want to go. She cast her own sword and everything. She was really interesting artist. I'll link up with you. She's in Austria again now. But she started doing tattooing within her practice, and she came round to my house and we ate together. It was quite spiritual. I had no tattoos before, and both me, my husband and my daughter have the same tattoo, and it's everlasting. It's a circle of life. And it was beautiful because Leonie done it in our home. We ate food together, and it was quite a spiritual sort of moment, and that was lovely. So yeah, that's I would never have, my daughter has a beautiful tattoo of flowers, and it represents her birth sign and all that, and it's lovely. But I would never have if I get any more tattoos, it would always be more like quite symbolic drawing, quite plain. I do quite like these random tattoos, just sort of where people are just having crazy things all over there. But yeah, so I don't know whether I'll have any more, but this was something that was about family.
That's
so it's
yeah.
The work that I'm most proud of, I suppose, because of my commitment, my time since having Cave, my time for work isn't really, like I say, a lot of the work that I've made is quite spontaneous, but this was something that I made while I was in my final year at uni, when I had time to do research and everything. And it's called 4,380 Days. It represents every day my daughter has been, since the day she was born to the day I graduated art school. So it sort of talks about my art education and my art practice. And it was the one time that I had time to really research it. It's all made from the negatives of her baby pictures. So which back in then, that was before digital. So we used to print out. The whole project was about sort of attachments and things like that, and how we're attached to objects. So I was destroying photographs, negatives, the hardcore copies of these memories, I suppose. And yeah, that was where that work came from. And I'd say that's the one, because I've got sketchbooks, relating, all of this was just researched with looking at different artists, different ways of working, practicing with different methods. And to have the time, this is what I find more interesting. I love looking at the artwork, but I love looking through old sketchbooks and seeing where my ideas came from and things like that. So, I'd say, that is the work I'm the most proud of as a piece that sits there. The vitrine itself, it didn't come, when I displayed it at university for my degree show, I just sort of folded it up and put it up on a shelf thing in the space. It was a part of the building, and I just sort of put it there. The vitrine that it's in, the cabinet, was... It came into Cave about 5 years ago. The dustman pulled up and he says, I've got something. And he's pulled it out, and it had a couple of taxidermy birds in it that I sort of cleaned it up and we tried to sell it. It didn't sell. And then eventually it went through the flood and we took the whole thing apart, and Nigel rebuilt it. And I like that in there. That's one piece of artwork that I think would work really well. I like putting things in vitrines and bell jars and stuff like that. I tend to collect a lot of things like that to put works in. I have got this thing, you know, once you put a picture in a frame, once you put an artwork in behind glass, in cabinets, I looked into a lot of that sort of thing when I was studying, and how, I suppose, what makes artwork. My dissertation title was, you know, sometimes what makes artwork is the picture frame or the vitrine that is put in. You know, that can make artwork. You know, before that it was art, but it, you know, so yeah, the displaying of art, and I suppose that feeds into my sort of curational practice within the gallery as well. Is, you know, we sort of knowing how to display stuff and put things together. But for that, it was really time consuming, so I lost myself a lot in it. It was also something that I had it at home, and anyone that came into my house, from the people I lived with to any visitors or anything that came into my house, I'd get them to have a go, because I'd be brought. It took hours. It was like, it was hours and hours and hours of monotonous, repetitive work, which a lot of my practice is. Do you get what I mean? It's sort of about that sort of conveyor belt sort of working, of repeating something. I like, you know, when you have one of something, you know, it's what it is, it's a paint tube. But when you have loads of them and sort of line them up and do sort of silly things, I love doing this sort of thing. And I like playing these questions with art. You know, you do that, do you get what I mean? And it's now something else. It's become an artwork. It's about compositions. You lay something out. So I love doing that shit. I love all that. So multiples, you know, one of them little negatives holds a memory, or it has a picture, but it's just doing its job. It's being a negative of a picture. Rolling up 4,380 of them and poking them through this bit as a job, as this sort of labour, intensive labour, speaks something else about the work and about motherhood and labour. It's all linked. So yeah, so that would probably be the bit that I go, oh, I love that. Most of them, to be honest, most of the artworks that I'm really still pleased with is the stuff that I made while I was at uni, because I had space, time and student finance. I'd say that would be my ultimate. And then my other project, this another work that I'm really proud of, and you know, I know a lot of people that know me as an artist would have seen both of these works before, probably on numerous occasions within different formats of curation or vitrines or whatever, but frames. But this is another work that I really enjoyed doing, I really loved. I was looking at the readings and writings of Louise Bourgeois, and it sort of feeds into the same thing of attachments. I sort of gave myself like that, being labour intensive. With this one, I give myself a rule, and my rule was 45 drawings, 45 pieces of paper. So you don't allow for mistakes, but if mistakes happen, you just got to go with them. All of them are drawn on, but with a sewing machine. This is stitch, it isn't ink, on handmade paper. And the nice thing about using the sewing machine is if you do sort of make a mistake, you can't rub it out. You know, you're not going to unpick stitches out of paper because it just leaves holes. So everything will leave a mark. A bit like rubbing out, a pencil always leaves that little bit of something. But the nice thing about working with stitch, it felt really organic, just sort of moving around using a embroidery foot, a different foot on the thing. And yeah, adding bits of homemade paper. Some have got ink added to them and things like that to bring a bit of colour. But no, this was a series that I was really proud of as well. So I suppose the art that I've exhibited is the two pieces that I've spoken about here. Stuff, and then there's stuff that I don't want to exhibit particularly. I don't mind people seeing it, you know, if they visit my studio and see it. but I don't sort of go, oh, let's get that out in the gallery and show it off and talk about it, because I don't. There's some work, you know, these works and the things that you do in uni are highly researched. So there's this whole process, which is wonderful. The works that I'm sort of messing about with paint at the moment, they're not very highly researched. They're just really emotive, and I sort of come in here and go, what am I doing? I'm going to put my scruffies on and I'm just going to mess about with paint. So yeah, so completely, although it's all my artwork, it all feels very different. Do you get what I mean? So yeah, so I think that's it.
Can you give some advice for younger artists?
Do you mean younger in age or younger in their career? Because it's quite interesting. Although I was
how to promote art. Maybe
wow, this is a big question. The one thing I'm as a gallerist, which I suppose is what I am. I have a gallery that I can hire out and have exhibitions in. This is one of my struggles, I suppose, when artists approach me to use the gallery space, is I've built up a lot of networks, I have a lot of friends, but a lot of them are artists. You know, you'll find in the world that artists support artists. You know, you're on that next stage if you have big art buyers and sort of people that you know pay a lot of money for art. Promoting yourself is really difficult. You know, I don't consider myself an artist that goes out their way to think about selling work. And if I promote, you know, obviously when we have an artist here, I go all out with the people that I'm already connected with. We have over the 6 years that I've been running Cave, 3 years I've been running a gallery. I have a few 2 or 3 people that I would invite that usually buy work if they like it. Do you get what I mean? As in they can afford to buy some artwork. I don't know, it's quite hard, the promotion, because I don't really do it. I sort of know how to do it, but it means sucking up, and I won't suck up to people. Do you get what I mean? I sort of, everyone's welcome at Cave. It's a totally open space. I do encourage people to buy art from the living and don't buy from IKEA and things like, you know what I mean? It's just like, come and see me if you want to look at an artwork. I've got all ranges of price works and different artists that do different styles and things.
When it comes to promotion, what are the best artists which you have been cooperating?
Our bestseller from an exhibition we had, and I suppose promoting is about selling, would have been Jenny, my friend I spoke about, who does the most amazing abstract paintings. You know, she done really well her exhibition here, and it's interesting because it was her first ever solo exhibition. She's always exhibited within group shows and always been quite disappointed. I remember we spoke about it while she was here, always, you know, never pleased with the way her work maybe looked up next to other people's, which talks about curation and stuff, which I'm quite interested in. And she had a solo show here, and everyone went mad for her work. It was really good for her, because she realised that she needs to be more confident and just go, yes, I have a whole body of work, and my work sits best with my work. So she was very successful selling wise. But I think, you know, she sold 7 pieces, and I think 4 of them were through her own contacts, a couple of them through people that had come through sort of the gallery, whether it had been walk-ins or just, so yeah, I'd say she's my best seller, but it's so far from our concerns at Cave, really. Do you get what I mean? You know, it's great. The thing is, because we're a shop as well as a gallery, our audience is very vast. You know, we're not just a gallery audience. So I don't have to, you know, if I was just a gallery, then promotion would be really important, because obviously you're just a gallery, so you pay your bills or make your money through the selling of art. Because I pay my bills and make my money through the selling of sort of more craft and secondhand stuff, and then we have the wagon doing tea and cake and things like that. The art, there's not so much pressure on me to need to sell art. I love it when it sells because it's so good for the artist, you know. Oh my God, it's such a buzz. It's such a buzz when someone picks your work, you know. I remember one time there was a woman in the shop and I had some drawers just filled with different artists' work, and I had some of my drawings, and there was about 15 artists that all had a different drawer, some print, some paper, some drawings, and she was flicking it, and she'd spent about an hour and a half in the shop just sort of going through everything. And she came up to me at the sort of counter, and she had sort of half a dozen things, and one of them was one of my drawings out of the drawer, you know. And I was so excited that she picked my work out of these 15 artists that it was like, oh, you can have it. You know, I'll give it to you. Because, yeah, it's a massive thing when someone chooses you. You know, you've got to live with that shit. Do you get what I mean? You're picking something to go on your wall that you're going to look at every day. And I know myself. I have
your life.
Yeah, and I have lots of artworks. And, you know, I've got artworks that I was given and I loved 15 years ago, and I look at them now and they have a different feel for me, you know what I mean? So this stuff's got to live with you, you know. So to choose to buy it, irrelevant of price, I think, as well, you know, everyone's price, everyone's value is how much they got in their pocket, what they can afford to spend, sort of thing.
So are there some galleries which you consider as a great example of how galleries should function?
Well, yeah, I think it's less of a gallery and more, you know, the word art space is something that, you know, there's some great galleries in town in Fitzrovia, you know, and they're great and they have some great work in there, but their sole purpose is to promote art, sell art, make money, you know. They have a bit of a locked door that, you know, you got to ring on the bell to get in. I just want to look at some art. I don't want to feel uncomfortable looking at art, you know. But you know, they are there for a purpose. It's not what I've ever tried to sort of create here. There is the opportunity for it to happen, but probably not with me running it.
You have more open formula.
I have more open formula, and as well, someone I admire tremendously in all that they've done is I can't believe Matt's Gallery, a guy called Robin Klasnick. I don't know if you've heard of it, but you know Matt's Gallery.
Great.
The thing is, they're supported, they're funded by the Arts Council, and they're funded through charity. So their mission is about promoting art and artists, not about what people are buying, really. You know, it's more. Yeah, Robin Klasnick started, and he was. You know, Matt's Gallery is 30 years old now, I think, and it's called Matt's Gallery, but it's an art space. We got introduced to it. I got introduced to it when I was studying. One of my tutors, Ben Kane, you know, is a very conceptual artist, so he took us there to show that this is more about concept and ideas and less about people coming in to go, oh, let me have that painting for £20,000. Do you go, you know? And yeah, so I think that's someone who I follow. I try and get to there. That, you know, that getting to events is always quite difficult because there's always our own events. I think a lot of gallerists find that. Do you get what I mean? Getting out to other people's things. But yeah, I admire that space because it stayed true to its sort of form. Do you get what I mean? It's and yeah, so I'd say Matt's Gallery is one that I really like. I quite like going up to the South London Gallery, Camden Arts Centre, another good one. You know, I like these sort of places that, you know, for emerging artists. There's Chris Corkwell, what's his gallery called? That's in by Clapham Junction. That's a good little space, sort of under a council estate. Do you get what I mean? So it just has this, a bit like this, it has its own little followings, really. There's some great ones, the little ones in Deptford popping up, you know, but they struggle. They say, you know, it's really hard to just sort of do art within a space. Like I say, because we've got Cave, we do a bit of food, we have events, as in non-art events, food events,
There's
and music events.
There's commercial elements. It's difficult.
It's very difficult. It's very you know, we're not supported. I choose not to make it a charity or a social enterprise, although we are community supported and we are a social enterprise, you know, in the way that we work and how we're connected with community. But yeah, I don't want to spend all my time trying to apply for funding. I'd rather try and flog things, you know, try and sell stuff to pay the bills and things like that, you know, and keep ownership. The thing is, when you're supported by funding bodies, you get a little bit of ownership of what you want to show, or whether you want to open, whether you want to close, whether you want to do. So, you know, it's about keeping.
In a perfect world.
This is a perfect world. I'm in it. No, I'm not.
What mechanism of promotions for emerging artists should be in this kind of city like London?
At the moment, you know, social media obviously is a good platform. Instagram is a great platform for visual, although that's starting to get a little more conversationally now. But, you know, Instagram was sort of started for that. I think, to be honest, my advice to a young emerging artist that, and when I say young, I mean young in their career, not in their person. My advice would be, mind you, the world is changing now, but get yourself out there. You've got to go. You know, if you've got a gallery, the way I see it is, if you've got an art space or a gallery that you really admire and you think, I want my work there, then go to their openings. Be at their openings all the time. Meet the people that are involved. You know, don't be too pushy. Just sort of hang out. You know, the people that I support at Cave, the artists that I support at Cave, like yourself, are people that have given time to Cave. You know, you've come along to drawing, you've come along to events, you've supported other artists, and that is really important to me. If someone comes in with a big ego going, I want to sell my work, and I go, I don't think Cave's the place for you. Do you get what I mean? But come along to our events, meet some of our community, you know, and once that happens, then you know, if people show Cave support, then it comes back round. It makes perfect sense for me to go, well, actually, if I've got to choose an artist that I want to support, I'm going to support someone that's supported me. And also, I don't have to I don't always like the artist's work, but if I like the artist and we get on and we've connected, then I see their work as completely different, because I see it through them as a person, rather than just an image on the wall that I look at and make an aesthetic decision. I see where it's coming from, and that makes art much more interesting to me, is to see where the artist has come from, and then I can look at their work with a completely different view as to just, would I have that hanging in my bedroom? You get what I mean? I'd have it hanging in my bedroom because it reminds me of a story of someone, you know, so things like that, yeah.
So it's not about only artwork, but about whole person.
For me it is, you know, for some people it isn't. Some people just go, oh my God, we need to promote this because it's fucking amazing, you know, whatever, whether it's its concept or its look. For me, I tend to build up a relationship with the artist, you know, and if I've built up a relationship with the artist, then it's really nice when we have a show together, you know, if they have a show here, and it just, yeah, it's like hanging out with your friends, really, you know what I mean, and yeah, and I like to support that. Yeah.
So, coming back to your personal art, yes. Yeah, your practice, if you would have unlimited amount of money, time, and you could just do art, what would you do?
Oh God, pottery, clay. I would have a wheel, and I would have. Oh my God, my memory is so bad, mate. I'd have kilns. I would have space. I would be like, yeah, watching. I love Grayson Perry. I love Grayson Perry's work. He's a living British artist. I think, yeah, I've got a lot of time and respect for him, not just as an artist. I love his work aesthetically to look at, but watching him, especially over this last few weeks, he's been doing the art school program on Channel 4. Yeah, I just go, oh my God, I want that time, and big slabs of clay and experiment. Oh my God, I would just have the best, most fun time. Yeah, experimenting with clay, because that is it takes up a lot of space, and the kilns and the firing. I don't know how I deal with disappointment, because you obviously when you fire things and they break, and because I've done little bits of all of these things, whether it's painting, all of these practices. When you're at uni, you get these opportunities. I've always done courses on things, like short courses and stuff, so I've had tasters of everything, but it's always been on a scale of time limited, space limited, and things like that. So yeah, no money, no size, no time restrictions, then clay. Oh my God, yeah, big fucking slabs of it. Do you get what I mean? Cutting in, and and
sculpture.
Yeah, that would be my no money, time worries practice.